So again, just take a moment and thank you all for joining. We're looking like we're at really reaching a really great capacity here, just about max capacity here on Zoom. Excited to also have many of you here with us live on YouTube. Very excited today's session. Again, it's going to be a great day of education. I'm really looking forward to sharing a lot of information with you all, not necessarily from me, but from an amazing guest artist you all may be familiar with her. And I think you guys are going to be in for a real treat. With this, I want to go ahead and just let you guys know that we're going to be in for about an hour of some amazing color essentials with Lupe Voss, fantastic colorist. And I'll take a moment to introduce who you'll hear throughout this session. As we get started, I also want to just share this reminder with you all that please feel free to ask questions utilizing the chat feature either on Zoom or on YouTube, wherever you may be watching today. I'll be keeping an eye on that and helping to field your questions so that way they can be addressed throughout the different sessions. When working with this, again, just to do a short introduction for you all, my name's Daniel Dunworth, and I'm the Learning Engagement and Development Manager for Pivot Point International. I'll be here helping to field your questions over to our amazing guest artist, Lupe Voss. She is the Aveda North American Art Director for Hair Color. She's got some fantastic, just amazing color essentials information lined up for you today. And with that, she'll be sharing some of these techniques right on the mannequins that she has as well to demonstrate those best practices. Very excited to have her here with us today. And we'll be turning this over to her in just a moment. Again, I just want to remind you all that please feel free to utilize those chat features. Make sure that you guys ask any questions you may have as we actually go through this. And Lupe, I'm going to be turning this over to you in just a moment once I can find you here in my list to go ahead and unmute you. There we go. So with that, Lupe, I think the screen is all yours. Hopefully you're out there live with everyone, and it's all yours. Thanks for coming with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am so honored to be here. Good morning, everyone from beautiful, sunny California. My name is Lupe Voss, and I am going to share today a couple of essentials of a new growth mid-length sentence application. Sounds easy, simple, boring, like something that we do all the time. But there's some key technique that I want to share with you so that you can be amazing at your craft. And then second, we're going to be doing some foiling, and I want to give you some little key pieces of foiling as well to help prevent bands, lines, have a beautiful, even blonde. So we're going to start with our Erica mannequin first. We're doing a root touch-up right now. So I wanted to show you her root touch-up. I prepared her earlier, and when I trained my team at the salon, when I would train them, they would have to use 1 in with 5 volume, because the one thing that I wanted to make sure is that they worked nice, neat, and clean, and that there was no staining on the hairline. So we're going to talk about how to prevent that. Also, you know, the one thing that color needs to process is oxygen. So I am going to talk to you about how to do your application. If I dropped each piece of this hair right here, you can see exactly where my parting is. You can see how it lifts up and out. And the reason why it's lifting up and out is because I do want oxygen to get inside there to help the color process evenly. So I'll show you some tips and tricks on that, and then how to keep it nice, neat, and clean and up and away from her face while she's processing. Now, let's start in the back. So I pre-colored all of this for you, and then I'll go back and I'll do some mids and ends for you. I'll have these all blown out and finished so that you can see them. I'll put them on my Instagram, and that way you guys can look through it. I'll also put some formulas down if you'd like. All right, so I'm gonna tilt her away. Let me get her a little bit further this way. Okay, this is something that's really interesting. And as I was prepping this mannequin this morning, I was really going through what I was doing to make sure, kind of like my checklist to go through with you. One of the things that I find as colorists, we really don't talk about body position while we're painting. It's really interesting. We will move our bodies and have them keep their head up. We'll pump up the chair, we'll lower the chair, but still our clients, our guests' heads are still straight up. And then our body is what we get a little off. So I want you to pay attention, and this is something that I'm going to invite you to do. I'll give you information. I want you to watch what I'm doing, But then I want you to go back and watch this video again. Watch my hands only. Then watch it again. Watch my body where I'm standing, and then watch it again. Watch the brush. Watch it again, and then watch the angle of the foils, or how I'm holding, or how I'm twisting the hair away. Because there is a movement, and I was thinking to myself, you know, oh, I want to remember to tell the team this, and I want to remember to tell the team that. But I thought, how did I learn all of this? This has taken a long time. This is practicing. This is what we call practicing the craft. And each piece, and I'm going to say it when I'm doing it so that you see exactly what I'm doing, what my body's feeling. All right, because you want to do this for a long time. And I threw my back out once, and it was horrible because I was not being careful. All right, longer hair. If you have longer hair, I would say this is a medium length hair. This is Erica, so she's medium. I didn't cut her. When I'm doing medium length hair, I'm always combing the hair because I want to make sure there's no knots. As I'm working for control, and you can see all of this here, I'm twisting it as if I'm going to put it in a knot. Because when you paint on something that's hair that's tight like this, you get a flatter surface. So I will put her first parting on. Work neat, and I'm always constantly wiping. So my next parting, what I'm going to take, I'll drop this off, and I'm kind of tugging on it, and I'm dropping it down. I'll drop this in my hand. I'm looking at the bowl. I am only going to pick up as much as I want on her root. I only want 1/4 of an inch, no more than 1/2 inch. So I'm looking at my color. As I'm looking at my color, my hand is holding this like so. As I'm picking up my color, because I want to make sure I'm only grabbing 1/4 of an inch to work nice, neat, and clean, I'll grab my hair, twist it away, and then now I'm going to apply on the hair that's up. Apply the hair that's down. So at the same time, I'm addressing the bottom part of this and the top part of this. I'll untwist, take my parting, drop this down, tug it, make sure you tug it, drop it down. So I'll drop this hair in my hand, I'll look to see where my color is, and then I twist. Oh, see how hard I'm twisting? Off with her head. Okay, so let's do it again. I'll twist, I'll address the underneath, I'll address the top. Let's do it again, take a parting. So this is what I'm doing. Now I'm in a rush. I'm gonna hurry up a tiny bit here. What I did not do, and this is something that I used to teach as a standard application, we taught for the longest time to outline your subsections. And I'll tell you why I stopped doing that. If I were to outline this subsection and I put my brush inside here and I pull up, I'm going to take that root color and I'm dragging it. And if I had something like a green in the base and she had blonde hair, she'll have silver or green or other off colors at her mid lengths and ends. So I stopped outlining at the beginning, and what I do is I outline at the end. So pull it up and out, take your parting, and if you get anything like this that happens, just gently glide it off, because if it's off, it's not going to process. All right, let's do this again. Let's pick up, twist away, take your parting. Okay, so I'm going to do the same movements. Here we go. Twist away. Daniel, do we have any questions at this point?
We just had a couple questions about your Instagram handle again. So I was sharing that in the chat, but if you wanted to share your Instagram and how they can follow you or keep up with your information, that'd be great.
Lupe Voss, real simple, at Lupe Voss. It's Instagram. And then on the Instagram, actually right now, twist up and out. So if you see, I'm addressing both top and bottom at the same time. This will save you so much time than just doing one or the other. On my Instagram right now, during we had our team, our hair color magic team, do Facebook lives and Instagram lives, and all of them, I think we have a good 9 or 10 classes on there. If you guys have any time and you want to start doing some other education, they've got some really fast, fun blonding techniques. It's really good. It's really good. So if you want to get on there, and you can do some more videos. Okay, so again, now I'm combing through, making sure I work nice, neat, and clean. And if you notice right here, I always have a towel that is connected to my tray, and the opening is towards me. So what happens is I'll open it and I'll wipe my hands, and then I'll drop my towel, because if you wipe on the outside of the towel and someone walks by, they're likely to get color or bleach on their clothes, and that would be horrible. All right, so let's do this again. Comb, pick up, twist up and off. And again, the reason why we're twisting is so that we can have control and we can address both the top and the bottom at the same time. Now, there's another thing that I do, and I want you to see this when we get up really close. So let me paint up, let me paint down, pull this up and out. So you can see how this is lifting. You can see how this is lifting up and out, and it's letting the oxygen come in. Even on this side, you can see how there's still an opening in there. What you don't want to do is press down. And what you don't want to do is paint any further than what the root is, whatever the new growth is. Okay, so this is what I do. I'm constantly wiping this because I want to keep this clean. When I take my parting, here's my application. I'm going right above that root application so I don't drag it on the mids and ends. So this right here, and I'm going to tell you why I do this. I practice as if this is a bleach application, and that if I were to drag this down, she would get breakage. That's how perfect you want your application to be. So I don't take this and drag it onto the scalp. Two reasons. One, if you drag it to the scalp, you're pulling the product off, and I'll show you what that looks like. So you can see that perfect line that just happened. And now look, when I pulled that up to pull this hair up, you can see where I just dragged that dark color through it. Let's wipe that down. So if you ever do, don't worry about it. Just go back, reapply. And the only time I found that to be an issue is for gray coverage, because you're taking the product off the hair. So here we have that. And if you notice, I'm not twisting any longer because this isn't a lot of hair. So I can still pull this. And you saw how much tension I had. I yanked her off this tripod, didn't I? Okay, so pull this up. So as you get less hair, it's not about the twist any longer. It's more about just pulling it up and out. You can see how it's a flat tension in there. Okay, so we've got here, right above the root application, take your parting.
And Lupe, I've got a question for you as well that's come in. When going through and doing an application like this, is there a certain brush that you have a preference to use for application?
I do, and it's a personal preference. I find anything wider than this is what, about 1.25 inches. Anything wider than this, I feel like I'm painting a house. And you can see I'm going into a small area right now, and I'm still in control with my brush. I find, just me personally, if I have a big brush, then I get messy. Big brushes are for mids and ends for me. So here we go. Now I'm gonna outline to make sure that I got it all, and it looks pretty balanced. Let me turn her this way so I can show you her hairline. And most people will work with a barrier cream. If you're going to use a barrier cream, my experience has been, don't use hair product. Don't use hair product that has any type of silicone in it. Use a moisturizing product that's for the face, for the skin, and I'll tell you why. The reason we get stained is because our skin is dry. I am having an issue today with this. Our skin is dry, so you want to make sure it's moisturized. So when she's sitting in your chair, she gets there, the best thing to do is put it on the barrier cream around her hairline, go mix her product, and when you come back, just add a little bit more. I promise she won't stain. Okay, so you can see how this is lifting up and out. So we're gonna let oxygen get in there. You have two options for the side. This side, what I did is I stood behind her and I took vertical partings and pulled it back. So that's one way, you can pull it back. This one I'm gonna work up so that, because I really want you to see how this lays up and out, okay? So if you pull it back, what happens is she stays really clean, and all that hair is up and away from her face. She can read a magazine or get on her phone. Okay, let's do
And
this.
Lupe, a question that came in, is there a specific type of product that you like to use for that barrier cream?
Anything that has moisture. The one thing that I use is a, a jojoba oil. It's a jojoba oil base. You can use an almond oil base. You can use anything that is a moisturizer. Okay, so I'll
Someone,
pick up. Go ahead.
oh,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, someone has asked, would you consider using a conditioner for the barrier cream?
Yeah, you could totally use a conditioner. Completely use a conditioner. But I would not use anything. Well, and I'll tell you this. No, let me go back because there's a story that happened at the salon. We at one time had this product that had this really nice silicone, and it was a hair gel or a like a texture cream. And I asked my team to please be careful not to use anything that's for the hair that belongs to the hair. Only use what goes on the skin. So I'm going to take that conditioner, yes, back because we were almost sued because of this. So up and over, you can see I was struggling with that hair because it's so thick and long. So what happened was the lady took her glasses off, and when she put her glasses back on, she grabbed some of that silicone and stuck it in her eye, accidentally poked herself in the eye with her glasses. Well, she was rubbing it so bad, so much that night, she scratched her cornea. So she went to the doctor. You know, we offered to pay for her doctors, and then it got into a big lawsuit. And the only reason why we were lucky enough not to be sued because of this was because she didn't mention to us that she had gotten it in her eye, and we have process of an eye wash kit, and it would have prevented that. So I would say if it's for the skin, put it on the skin. That's it. I don't
Great
want
tip.
any.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a really stressful moment. Okay, so I can see this hair is a little messed up. So I want to comb through it. This is why when you work nice, neat, and clean, when you're finished, it goes faster. I'm slowing down so that you guys can see this. So I'm pulling up and out. I just did some bad body position. Don't do that. So now I'm lifting her up and down just to make sure that I'm standing proper. This is how y'all should be standing. Your feet should be hip width apart. So you're standing really, really nice and solid. And then pretend someone is standing behind you and they have your belly button on a string and they're pulling your belly button to your spine. So that's how you're engaging your core. So any type of movements you should be doing with that in mind. So keep your core good and tight. And then the next thing that you want to do is drop your shoulders down. Like it's kind of like if you were doing a push-up. Pull your armpits down to the ground. And actually, if you do that while you're standing, you get about a 1/2 inch taller. So that's good if you want to be taller. Right, so I'm pulling up and out, and you can see this is getting up and out like so, and oxygen is coming through. So here, here, here. Okay, so
Another
let's take our
question for
parting.
you that's come through. When working on a procedure like this, what would be your kind of average timing that you think a process like this would take? And how long did it take you to kind of perfect this technique? Did you focus more on perfecting the technique and letting the time come with that? Or did you really
Yeah,
focus on trying to increase your time along with your technique?
that's really, and that was one of the things I was thinking about. That's really interesting that you had asked that right now. I work with perfection, and then what happens is if you keep practicing, the speed comes up. And these are memory movements, you guys. This is like the only way I can describe it is kind of like when you're a little baby and you're walking and you're like a little awkward. But then as you start to get it and your body starts to remember the movements, then you can move on to the next thing. And then you can start running, and then you can start skipping, and then you can start riding a bike. Like it's something that is their memory movements. That's why I always think that if you have time enough to lean, you have time enough to clean, or pull out a mannequin and then just start working on your craft. I think that this is something that everyone should be doing at at their leisure. This is our craft. You know, like we're always practicing.
Awesome
And
answer.
yeah, I taught my team perfection first, practice, speed, agility, and even taking like what I'm doing and changing it, making it your own. This doesn't have to be done just like this. That's why I wanted to show you one that I had done one that you pull away, and then one you can work up horizontally. You may do that on someone just because you're in the mood. So
And
it doesn't
that
matter.
actually even leads into another question that just came through. Do you always start in the same section of the head when applying a process like this, or is there anything that would make you start in a different area?
Well, great coverage would be something. A bleach application, a bleach touch-up. So gray coverage, depending on your formula, if you adjust your formula for the gray coverage and they have fine hair, I would start in the back. If they have, let me turn her so you can see this right here. If they have a bleach application, I always start bleach applications at the top crown because this hair is super fine. This is where the majority of the hair will sit, and it is a bit deeper if you look at the starting level, because it's denser, so it looks dark. Would want to start at that crown first, and then gray, like I said, gray coverage. If you're not going to adjust your formula for your gray coverage, I would start in the front. If you're putting extra tones in your formulas for your gray coverage, I would just start in the back because you've just adjusted the formula for the gray. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is make sure that she's nice, neat, and clean, and then I'll outline this section. So I outline after. You can outline before. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I outline after for control. I address this as if it's bleach. So I want to make sure you can see how if I parted her hair this way, let me use this comb. You can see how saturated she is. I'll go through and I see that, so I'll go through and I'll apply again. And then take a parting. So when you do your cross-checking, just to make sure that you're really nice and saturated, and do the same. All right, so we've got her root application done. Key tips for long hair: twist up and out. Make sure that you're standing in a proper position because you don't want to hurt your body. You do not want to hurt your body. And then apply down, apply up, take your parting, apply down, apply up, take your parting. Your parting should always go above your root application. If I was going to do any type of blonding or anything on this, if I was even going to resubsection her, my pintail would never drag on the scalp. It's always above that application. Look at, and then you're still in control and you haven't taken the product off the hair. So this is your technique here. Your other key technique is to make sure that your body is standing perfectly straight up and engage your core. All right, so if she was going to be, this is a application going darker, I would start in the back, work forward, and then right away go into her mids and ends. So I'm only going to show you one part of her mids and ends, and then I want to get into foiling because we have a lot of foil work to do. So, and then I'll come back and do this when we're done. So I'll take my parting, I go right above what I just applied, comb this hair up and over. If you need a clip, these are the clips that I use. This is called a star clip. And this star clip, you can see there's a star on it. This star clip is, I get this one at Hairbrain. All my tools I get at Hairbrain, quality tools. This one is a lightweight clip, and I'll tell you the difference between the two. And this is really for foiling, but I'll do it now. This is what I call, the star clip is called a working clip. Here we go. If I clip on this and I let it go, if I clip on this and I let it go, there's not a crease in there. If I clip on this and I let it go, you can see how the weight is different. And I let this one go, you can see there's a little divot in the foil. Can you guys see that? So what happens is if you clip, if there was color in there and you clipped on it, what you just did is push that color off the hair. This one, if you clip on it, just to hold it out of the way and you let it go, well, let me see. If you clip on it and let it go, it doesn't leave a divot. So these are my working clips. My working clips are really important while I'm working because I don't want to disrupt the hair. This one being lighter in weight versus this one Watch what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take my parting right above my root, drop this down, comb this, twist it up and out of the way. I want to lightly clip it onto the hair that's over there. So if it was a heavier clip, it would push that hair down. I don't want that to happen. If I had a different mids and ends, it would be bad. So what I'll do is, to protect your ear and to work nice, neat, and clean, pick up your product, apply it on a foil. Now, as I'm applying, my brush is flat parallel to the hair. So I'll put the product on. There's two things that are happening here. I will always use foil that is the length of the hair. So this is really important for a mid-length application. Make sure your foil is the same length as the hair, because what happens is, if it's not and you pull this up, you have a chance of missing it. We call them holidays. I don't know, Daniel, what's the current word for like spots in the hair? The spots in the hair?
I think spots in the hair would probably work just fine too, but I like your holiday there. I think that's pretty good.
I don't know why it was called a holiday. Okay, so my application is, I'll pick up the product, I apply. You can see how nice and saturated it is. But what I'll do is, my brush is flat to the hair. I'll pull it at a vertical. And then what I do in really small strokes, and my eyes are looking at, is the width of the brush. I'm only looking at that hair. I'm not paying attention to any of this, because I want to make sure that this is truly saturated. You can see how I'm rolling this back and forth. What I'm doing is I'm opening up any of hair that gets clumped up, that kind of encapsulates. I want to make sure that I'm breaking that open so that I can get hair color inside there. This is where you get really great saturation. Now, you saw how thick it was when I put it on. Now look at what the hair is doing with that product. It's sucking it up. It's a porous material. That's why when I put it on, there is so much. Okay, so I'm going to start again just to make sure it's really saturated. And you can see how the hair is really absorbing that hair, this hair color. All right, so that one's done. Before I touch the hair again, I'll make sure I wipe my hands. Unclip. Another thing I don't do is I don't put my brush back in the bowl, because then your brush gets really dirty. Okay, so go above my root application, take my horizontal parting, drop this down, foil again to brace it. Now, if you notice, I am not touching the hair, so my gloves are staying pretty clean. So here, and I would use a bigger brush for this, but I will tell you, I love a firm bristle, because when I'm doing this, it's firm. And then when I roll it back and forth, like so, it's really pushing the hair. And my hand, if that foil was translucent, you would see my hand is like this. It's like a board. It's not like this. It's just holding it straight. I'm not bending my fingers. I'm just keeping it. It's just something that I can push against. Okay, so here. Okay, let's take our next parting. Right above the root application again. And I never go past, I never make, I don't take big partings. I would say they're no more than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so her mannequin head, I'm pulling her just so she's straight up now, not tilted away, because I don't need her tilted away. Here, my body is standing straight up. My left hand is super flat. I pick up my product, I apply it flat to the hair. Again, flat to the hair. Now I'm going to come back up here and start doing my rolling motions back and forth. Back and forth, and you can see how nice and saturated that is. The reason why this foil is the length of the hair is I don't want to pull that hair and lift it and pull it up. You can miss spots. Ask me how I know. And this is the thing, team. It's better to take a little bit more time and do this the right way here than have to shampoo and then it never fails. It's always like one spot that's missed in the very front where she can see it. All right, so we're gonna go back and forth.
I think those tips there have been really valuable, especially with the amount of products, searching for those. We even had someone share in the chat that they like to also call them holidays because those are the spots that aren't working.
Oh, there you go. They are not working. I remember in Cosmo School, I've been doing hair now, I think 38 years, and holidays was, I thought, okay, I'll just do it. I'll just say it, but I never really understood. So they're not working. All right, so make sure that you have a lot of product. And again, you can see how this hair is really absorbing this product. Remember, hair is a porous material and you wanna make sure it's saturated because it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's saturating it. And when you're going darker, if your formula is completely correct and you still have a hollow feel to your end result, it's because of saturation. This is truly saturated. Do you all agree? Look at that. All right, so as I'm working up to the hair, just for control, because I don't want to keep dragging it, I'll place another foil on top of that, and then I'll start working off of that foil.
And a question with your foils came in, is there a certain brand that you use, and are those pre-cut, or is it a roll that you're cutting to length?
So for the salon, I have a machine that cuts our foils, and it's called 24/7. It's an amazing foil cutter because it cuts different lengths. The reason why I don't use those for here, because of the glare from the lights, the foils you can't really see what's happening to the hair. So I like to use Framar foils when I'm doing stage work and when I do videos. So this is Framar. These are pre-cut. You can get the lengths. I like them. And another reason why I like to use these while I'm working on video or stage, you can't hear the the foil rattling. You can't hear the foil rattling. So the other ones, if I could grab one, but it's too loud. And then the reflection of that really shiny foil, which I love shiny foil. I like shiny things. It's too much reflection. So I do like these, and I'll show you when we foil, they really foil well. So it looks like I'm really good at what I do. Okay, so let's do this. So the Framar foil is really nice. They have different colors. I think they're a Canadian company. Okay, so let me take a parting. Again, if you notice, I don't part at the scalp. You can see that I don't disrupt that color at all. I'm always combing the hair. If you comb the hair while you're working, you'll just stay nice, neat, and clean. So I'm gonna pull this back up off the front of her hairline. Okay, I'm making sure I got plenty of product. And I do get all my tools. If you want to see the tools that I use on Hairbrained, I have, Gerard asked me to do a special tab, and of all my tools that I like to use, if you go to hairbrain.pro, in the search button, go to Hair Color Magic. Again, if you type in Hair Color Magic in the search button, you will see all the tools that I like to use. All right, so that's that. And then let's take this piece and drop it down. I'm gonna comb it back slightly. I want it off her face to keep her neat and clean. Take a fine parting. If you do big chunks, if I were to take this and put this down, I would have an opportunity of a holiday there. She ain't gonna be working. Okay, drop that. This. Pull this hair back away from her face. Everything should be pulled away from her face. Okay, so then we'll pull this through. So what I would do in the salon, she would have 4 foils. Each subset, I have her in quarters. So each quarter would have a foil that looked like this. And I will say there is nothing nicer than seeing mids and ends painted, combed in a foil and not all over them. And if you're in more control, what you can do is, I'll show you as soon as I'm done. Okay, so roll this back and forth, and you can see how the hair is absorbing all of this color. All right, and pull this up.
And while you finish that part of the application as well, I'll share with everyone that's in the chats. I did just post a link to that hairbrain.pro with the tool list and supply of that Hair Color Magic. So that way you guys can also check that out by clicking on that link in the chats.
Thanks. I think they just posted the Hair Color Magic hair painting brushes today. Kelly and Gerard did. All right, so we've got this. Drop this down. This is our last part on this side. Roll it back and forth. Roll it back and forth. They did, there was a company, I was reading an article, and what they had, they did a questionnaire on clients. And I think I can't remember how many customers they had fill out this questionnaire, and they said the number one thing that they could not stand is having a messy hair color application. And it is uncomfortable. I don't know if you've had anyone put color on you that was messy, and they're touching you with their gloves. You know, the well-fitted gloves make a difference, because you don't look, for one, you don't look like the scarecrow. Two, it keeps you from, whenever you're touching, you don't drag it on their face. Well, the number one complaint was to keep it nice, neat, and clean. So this is what she would do in the salon if I use the foil on her. Let me turn her around so you can see. So she would process like so. The second application, I would do the same. Leave the foil, paint down, paint down, paint down, and then I would isolate it with foil. So we're gonna let her process. Daniel, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
I think, okay. I heard something on the AirPod. Does that mean they're dying? Like a little
beep beep might have been a warning. We didn't pick it up on our end, so it might be just on yours there. But I mean, honestly, everything looks good. We did also have a question come in though regarding just doing a full head service. What do you think is kind of the typical time that would take to complete a full head following that that process?
Oh, someone did ask me that, didn't they? And I didn't answer. I would say a new growth application should take you at least 20 to 25 minutes. And then if you were going to do a root and a mid-length and ends application, plan on 30 to 35. It really depends on the length of the hair, and it really depends on how thick their hair is as well. And making sure that you mix enough product, that's important too. And charging for if they have extra product, because it's not your fault why they have thick hair. Okay, so I would say root, mids and ends, 35 to 40 minutes. I would say 35 to 40 minutes. I at the beginning of when I started doing hair, I didn't talk much because I was trying to get my timing done. And again, team practice. If you practice, you'll be able to get your timing done. All right, so we have our root and mid-lengths and ends. I'll finish her after we're finished because I do want to get into foiling techniques. And how are we doing on time? What's our timing now?
We have about 20 minutes still.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I've prepped her already. I've got, I'm going to show you foiling. I'm going to show you a really fun way of keeping the foils from slipping to prevent any type of banding, how to lock a foil in. I'm going to show you a couple of backcombing techniques versus like a standard foil, and how you would actually put that in. And so let's look at what we have here. So I did back to back at her hairline because I want to give her a really pretty bright front hairline. So I did 2 back-to-backs, and then I have a 1/4 of an inch aparting, 1/4 of an inch aparting, 1/4 of an inch. Now you can see how evenly parted this is, and I'll talk to you about that. If you want an even looking blonde when you're finished, you have to be very mindful of what the density is. The density or negative space is this hair that you're looking at. If she was already pre-blonde, pre-highlighted, and I wanted to put a shadow, what I would do is after her foils were in, I would paint with a demi and then comb through to preserve her blonde on her ends. So I would probably do every third foil, between every third foil, paint, comb. So that's something that we can talk about as well. So this is a low density foil, meaning that we have a lot of density and not as many highlights. When I did this took me 20 minutes and I did all of the back. You can see I worked diagonally up, again, diagonally up. On the side, I did the hairline and then I worked diagonally back and then all the way through the back. So I left the triangle in the back. And this is what's more important. This is what I wanted to show you. This triangle, and I'll have the subsections up. I didn't want to spend time on subsectioning. I'll have those head sheets up for you all on the Instagram. I'll put them up there. This triangle is super important because this drops over the whole back of the hair. So I take this out because I really want to focus on what this is going to what's going to happen in here. So we will work on that. And I will also get this 1/4 inch out. So in between all of this foil is a 1/4 inch. If you want to make sure that your blondes look nice and even, the hair that you take out in between your foils should be the same. The only thing that I would say would be different, if your client shows you a picture and it's super bright in some parts around the front or on top, your density would change. You would probably take 1/8 inch, or maybe even think about doing back-to-back foils. Okay, so let's get clean. Let me move this out of the way. I really like to clip this hair while I'm working so it's not in my way. And I would actually clip all these back, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, while she was processing so she can read a magazine. I really don't like my clients to be reading magazines while I'm working, and I'll tell you why. And I want you guys all to do this. So on the side, let's put a side foil in. Most of the time, I'll watch people work. They'll take their parting, their guest head is straight up. They'll stand, they'll take their parting. Already look at my body. This is how I threw my back out, you guys. They'll take their parting, clip it away. They'll do this, and then they'll put the foil in, and you can already see with her head straight. Can you get a really tight shot on this, Manuel? If I put the foil in, you can see the comb at the bottom of the comb by my thumb. It's close to the root, but look at the top of that pintail. It's dragging this way. Well, that's how your foils are going to be. That's why we get a dark spot at that foil. If you want to get a foil in good and tight, you have to work in a horizontal position. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to say, okay, Karen, I need you to turn. And I want you guys to do this with me. I want you to put your right ear to your shoulder, put your chin down, and then chin tilt towards me. So now what I've just done is this. Let me see if I can get her turned this way. So I've got her right ear to the shoulder, chin down, and then tilt slightly towards me. So now what I have is more of a horizontal plane. Can you see how that's working? So I can do this. If I was going to do an ultra weave, I'm going to show you a micro weave, but this is an ultra weave where your pintail is horizontal to her hairline. So now when I put this pintail comb in, look at how close now the bottom and the top is. Now I can get a good tight horizontal foil. Good. So now I can get that good and tight. All right. So Karen's going to keep her head to the left. I'm going to tighten this up so she doesn't pop off. I'm going to do a micro weave. I want to do a micro weave and a back comb because I want it to be really soft around her hairline and have a graceful grow up. An ultra weave, your pintail is like so, and your movement is like this. And what you're doing is you're taking teeny tiny itty bitty pieces of hair. Some people call these baby lights. I call them micro weaves, or this is an ultra weave. And the difference between a micro weave and an ultra weave for me is if you look at this hair, it is really even. You can see how it's really even. You've got a really even weave going on. What happens is if that's even, when she pulls her hair back and it's grown out, it's going to have a line. So I don't want her to have a line. So I'll take this hair. Now my pintail is up and down like you're writing, like you're going to write your name. So this is the movement. It's like up and down. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to do teeny tiny zigzags across her hairline like so. And it's easier to do on a breather, not a mannequin. And I'll tell you why. There's a seam right here that I keep clicking on right there. Okay, so I've got this. Now you can see how it's uneven. You can, let me put this in so you can see this. You can see how it's uneven. You've got more pieces, you've got zigzags, you've got teeny tiny, you've got a hair here, a hair there. You want it to be uneven so that when it grows out, what happens is you have, it looks like she's been at the beach all summer. Now you have a choice to make. Are you going to do the one that's closest to the face or the one that's behind? In her Instagram picture, in her inspiration picture, if it's really bright at the front hairline, you're gonna color this one. If it's more of a graceful grow out and she doesn't want to come in as often, you're going to do this one. Do you follow? It will look different. If you do this one, it's brighter. If you do this one, it's less bright and it's a softer blend into the rest of the hair. Let's do this one. All right, I'm going to hold this directly out at a 90. I'm going to make references to haircuts. I'm standing like I would if I were going to cut a 0 elevation haircut. So I'm pulling this out at a 90. I'm standing straight flush to the hair. I'll rough up the hair, press all the way down to the scalp. This is the movement. You can fold forward, you can fold backward, it doesn't even matter. But you have to do one, because what you're going to do is this hair is going to pull as far away as you possibly can. Drop your pintail comb halfway down the hair shaft. Pull down with this hair to the ground, and I'm pulling up with this pintail comb. And as I drag this hair down, I'm counting on the back, that foil, to take all that back combing and pushing it back. You can already see it getting pushed back. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna put it's either forward or back. Pull this out, drop it down. Okay, dismount of the comb. I have now got back combing that's behind the foil. I can see it. As I take this pintail comb out, I'm not dragging it straight out. I'm gonna follow her head shape and watch what happens. It starts to curve and it gets super flat to her hairline. Okay, and then I'll take the hair and push it up and over. Get that back combing out of the way. I'm counting on that back combing so that it'll be a really pretty soft shift. I'm not gonna pull any of the bleach to her front hairline. I'm gonna get it to where it sticks. Now, I'll pull this up. Okay, now, same technique. Your foil should be as long as your hair. Okay, I'm gonna take a little step back because she's got long hair. Make sure. Now, my application is flat to the hair, and then I'm rolling this back and forth. And bleach is just like color. However, this is easier for me to gauge. The whiter this bleach is, the more opaque it is. I know the saturation is great. Your saturation should be even. Okay, so roll it back and forth, make sure it is really saturated. So now what I'm going to do, you can see this foil is starting to slide. I want to make sure I get it tight and flush to her hair. Oh, I just dropped my brush in that bowl. Let's do this.
Lupe, I also just take this moment and really reinforce, people are loving those tips that you just provided on placing that foil, really locking and securing that in those weaves. Some really amazing techniques. I hope everybody had an opportunity to really pick those up. I think those really can be some pretty significant game changers to how that end result really grows out. So
yeah,
I think those are
really
phenomenal.
Pretty. Okay, so now what we got to do is, if you ever did a foil and you're done and you're blow drying and you can see lines, but you know that you did it really close to the scalp. It's not that you did it close to the scalp. That's not the issue. What happens is, if you hold this foil and you do this, which is not wrong. Okay, so that's step one. This isn't the final step when you get to the root area. This is me addressing the root. What you have to do, think of a haircut. If you comb it straight down and you cut it, it's the heaviest line that you can create. Team, that's what we're doing right here. Do you see that? It's the heaviest line. So what you need to do is lighten that line, which is taking it out at a 90 and putting layering in it. So what we'll do with our color, pull this out at a 90. Now you're going to address the root. See that? And what that will do is it'll soften any lines. So this foil, let me get a little bit more product because I'm really manipulating it. I normally don't manipulate it this much. Okay, you have an option, team. Because if you have, there's something that happens if you're brand new to the industry. I watch people, they'll pull the foil, they'll pull it towards them and then lift it up. So what you need to do is get used to, and it's just getting used to the foils that you use. And I'll tell you what I did, but in a second. So if you don't like taking this, and if you see I'm pushing it where it buckles, I'm not pulling it towards me, I'm actually pushing it to the head. If you want, you can do that. Or, let me paint a little bit more and let me get this nice, neat, and clean. This is your second option around the hairline, just so that you can make sure that it stays. Take a foil and sandwich it, push it down, sandwich it, and that way you don't have to worry about if you're pulling it. Okay, we've got folded up once, folded up twice. I'm gonna show you how to lock a foil in. Locking a foil is gonna keep that one from sliding down. So we're gonna take our pintail, the teeth, Right where that hair is where you're going to fold it. And I'm going to stick my fingers under it. And with the teeth of the comb, I'm putting a little lock inside there. So I'm lifting up the edge, locking it so it won't slide down. Then I won't do it on this side because it's painful to take them out if you lock it too much. That's me how I know. And it takes a long time. So only lock one side. So that would be put your pintail comb and roll it up. So that's locking that foil in. So let's do it again. And I'll go faster this time. So you take your parting, and you can see I'm doing back to back for this really pretty back combed hairline on a micro weave. Pick up my parting, pintail comb straight up and down. I'm doing little tiny zigzags, and I'm not moving fast on the hair. I'm not going fast. I'm taking my time. Like so. Drop this down. I like to be in control, so I'm clipping this away. Pull this straight out, back comb. Here we go. Pull this up and out, away from where it grows. Drop the foil in, slide down. When I dismount my comb, I'm following the head shape. Pull this up and over. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because we are almost finished with class today, I'll finish foiling her. I'll take a finish of her foil. I'll have a head sheet drawn out for you all so that you can see what I did. I really wanted you to see what the nuances are of a foil. And I am going to invite you, okay, here we go. So you can see where I have that. Make sure that you pull this out at a 90. Again, you want to get rid of any lines that happen in the hair. Pull this out at a 90. And then when I fold my foil, I gently pull some of that enlightener up. Fold it, lock it, and then fold it. And that's your foil. All right, so this is our sectioning. So I'm going to keep working up here, back, and then horizontally up on this triangle. And I'll just keep working. I know we have, how much time do we have left, Daniel?
We've got about 5 minutes remaining.
All right, so if you guys have any questions for me, right now would be a good time.
And just so everyone knows, I've also posted Lupe's Instagram link also in the chat, so you guys can be sure to check her out there and follow along and see everything. Again, lots of, we've got some hand clapping, and even someone said that you are saving lives with those techniques that you've shared about placing clothes in there. So,
well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Daniel, because I screwed up a lot of hair in the past and I had to figure, now I came from the era of caps. We used to pull hair through a cap. So I had to teach myself how to foil. Okay, so I've got this. I didn't back comb these because I want them to be a little bit bolder at the root. I would mess up so much. I didn't know how to do this. And these are like the little nuances of messing up. Okay, this is important, team. I'm taking the same amount, my 1/4 of an inch. Oh, I'm sorry, got that hair. 1/4 of an inch. And then I clip this away. I do not take my parting that I'm going to weave out of my density. People do that all the time. And then you get uneven. So I take my 1/4 of an inch, part it away, and then I take my parting for my highlight. So you don't weave out of your density, you weave out of your parting. Okay, there you go. That was the last tip. Okay.
These have been fantastic. So I really appreciate it. Again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to go ahead and put them in there. Many people say they call them discoveries, not mistakes. I think.
No, mine were mistakes. You should have seen some of the stuff that happened. It was bad. It was not a discovery on my part.
It's a great way to learn exactly what not to do next time.
Yes, yeah, and you know what? Those I embrace them. I really, truly do. And you know, a good colorist doesn't get it right every single time. Don't believe that everyone gets it right every single time. A good colorist knows how to adjust it.
And those are great words. Another quick question, just as far as your, like this foil, if this were to be the technique that you were using around the entire head, how long would you say that it would, would be the goal to work towards for completing a full head like this?
This would take me probably 45 minutes. And the only time that I was really backcombing is around the hairline and on the top. That's why I started doing all my back comb, because that's where she wants it to be like a softer grow out. Everything else, I would just do a regular foil like what I'm doing now. And then that's it. But the most important part is making sure that your density is the same. So drop down your 1/4 of an inch. Don't take your weave out of your density. Then take your parting and weave. Yeah. So I would say 45 minutes for a full virgin. Full virgin. If she was a partial, it would probably take me 20, 25 minutes. But that's, you got team, you got to practice. You really got to practice. Okay, so up, drop it in, follow the head shape. I'm still doing all of the same movements. The only thing that I'm not doing is back combing. Okay, mids and ends, roll it back and forth. And I'm going to move her head just so I can get it at a 90. Remember, this is she's part of the process of doing your placement, just like a haircut. Okay, so pull this up, here, here, and here. Okay, Daniel, is there any other questions?
I've not seen anything else come through, but again, there's tons of praise for your techniques and these just the tips and suggestions that you have made for just improving that foil placement, and even all the way back to the color. It's been great. So again, if anyone has any, we've got about another minute or two remaining. So feel free to get those final questions in. And Lupe, any final thoughts that you may have as well?
Customer care, when you're finished, you just want to pull these back. I'll comb all the hair down, and then I flip the foils back so that she can have oxygen. That's important. And it's out of her way. No, I just think the more you practice your craft, the better that you get. I do believe we all are different in how we approach color, and as long as you're nice, neat, and clean and it makes sense, then you're on point.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. And, someone in the comments here, 40 years in the industry, and you're never too old to learn something new. So lots of thanks. And the ahas are rolling in. So more and more thanks. And again, I mean, even myself with the color, even I have learned so much already that I'm eager to get into and practice as well. So this has been a fantastic session. Just a reminder to everybody, again, you can head over to hairbrained.pro and you can look up the hair color magic, if I remember correctly, and find a variety of those tools that are, again, some recommendations. Also be sure to follow Lupe on Instagram, just going to Lupe Voss. Those links have been added to the chat, so hopefully you can click on those and follow through. And as a reminder, this session has been recorded and will be made available for viewing again in the future, so stay tuned for that. And again, really just want to say thank you. Of course, Lupe, thank you so much for being on the session with us. And for everybody that has also taken time out of the day, we have had 300 full capacity the entire way through here on Zoom, and several over on YouTube as well. So it's been fantastic.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for spending the time. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Daniel.
Great. My pleasure. Thank you so much. Again, everyone, thank you. And we'll hang tight for just any final thanks and an opportunity to close.
All right.
All right. No other questions coming through the chat. So again, thank you one more time to everybody for coming out. And again, one final big thanks to you, Lupe. Really appreciated this session.